I'm Dave Brown, author of General Dame, the new Napoleonic rule set from Ricewitz Press. This is the next video in this short series all about the rules and how they work. Today we're going to be talking about firing and how the rules deal with that. In the fire phase, both players execute skirmish, volley and artillery fire from their respective units. Let's see how skirmish fire works. Skirmishers are significant in General Dame and have their own separate yet simple system. A skirmish line, as with all tactical units, is either considered small, standard or large and is allocated what are termed casualty dice depending on this size. These skirmish dice inflict casualties on a score of 5 or 6 on each d6, while scores of 1 to 4 are considered a miss and have no effect. As one would expect, modifiers to either increase or decrease the number of dice you roll also apply. Now let's have a look at how this works. Here we have a French skirmish line. It has 4 bases, so it's classed as standard size, granting it the basic 3 casualty dice. Now these French voltigeurs are targeting the British skirmishers here, so lose 1 casualty dice to reflect the dispersed nature of the target. They now roll the dice hoping for scores of 5 or 6. In addition, any double 6 rolled by a skirmish unit would inflict a discipline test or morale test upon the target. So for instance, we could see highly effective skirmish fire causing its target to lose formation or, if very lucky, even retire. Garrisons of villages and built up areas also use the same skirmish fire method with a number of casualty dice based on the size of the actual garrison. Volley fire is conducted by close order units in line, column or square and use the following method. Each firing unit rolls 2d6 with the total score being reduced by negative modifiers such as target cover or formation, as well as the firing unit's current casualty level. Positive modifiers provide casualty dice. These close order casualty dice inflict a casualty on a score of 4, 5 or 6, while miss on a score of 1 to 3. The player then simply consults the infantry volley results table and compares his final modified score against his volley type. There are 3 volley types: superior volleys issued by British veteran and elite units, standard volleys issued by line units, and inferior volleys issued by recruits, or indeed any unit that has either moved, become unformed or suffered a similar disadvantage. Let's see how this works in practice. Here we have a large British battalion firing at a French line. The British player has the initiative, so fires first. He rolls 2d6 and applies his negative modifier of -1 as he has suffered 4 casualties from previous French artillery fire. But he will gain a casualty dice as his battalion is classed as large. Now you can either roll your casualty dice after your 2d6 roll or at the same time, but if you do, ensure your casualty dice is a different colour to clearly identify them. So we've rolled our 2d6 and scored 8 for our British line. This is modified down to 7 for the casualty negative. So we look up 7 on the superior volley line, because the British are firing, of the results fire chart, and this gives us a total of 3 casualties. Now we look at the casualty dice and we've rolled a 4, so that's another hit. So a total of 4 casualties are placed on the French line. That's a significant blow. Now the French return fire. Remember, they fire second as they are the non-phasing side. This French battalion is graded as line, so we'd normally fire on the standard volley line. However, it moved in the movement phase, so to account for this it must now use the inferior volley line. No other modifiers apply apart from the 4 casualties just suffered at the hand of the British. This brings a -1 modifier. The French player rolls the dice and scores a 5. This is now modified down to 4. A result of 4 produces a loss of fire discipline. No casualties are caused and the unit is marked with smoke to indicate this loss of fire discipline. This result is significant as units that have lost fire discipline cannot take further movement until they recover through remaining stationary for a complete movement phase. Perhaps the French player would have been better off holding his fire. That's infantry firing. So how does artillery fire work? Artillery fire uses a similar method to infantry firing. A 2d6 roll per battery, again modified by aspects such as target cover or formation and the casualty state of the firing battery. There are 3 range brackets, close, effective or long, and the player simply uses the appropriate results line for his current range. Let's see how this works. Here we have 2 opposing batteries engaging in counter battery fire at long range. Both are fresh and graded as line, so the only modifier that applies is the target modifier of -2 for engaging a deployed battery. Again, the British player fires first as he is the initiative. He rolls the standard 2d6 and scores 11. This is modified to 9. At long range, this produces a result of 1 casualty and a discipline test. All discipline tests are taken immediately, requiring the target to roll 2d6 against the morale table. The French player now rolls 2d6 for his discipline test and scores 8. His battery is graded as line, so has no modifiers, and nor is his battery at a disadvantage by means of being unformed or holding casualties, so his score remains on 8. All units pass a discipline test on a score of 7 or more, so the French battery passes and remains in good order. Negative results could have seen the battery unformed or even forced to retreat. In the French fire phase, the French gunners return fire with exactly the same modifiers applying, but the French roll a low 5, modified with the -2 down to just 3. Now a score of 3 or less results in the firing battery receiving a fatigue casualty. This represents your gunners being worn out, so we could see that continuous firing or firing at more difficult targets reduces your battery's effectiveness. So that's how firing works. Again, nice and simple, with the system streamlined to minimise the number of pluses or minuses to keep it simple and intuitive. Next time we'll be talking about melee. I hope to see you there.